Caution, the following program contains minor spoilers about the thing that is discussed in it. Therefore, if you have not experienced the thing in question, you may still want to listen to it. Lastly, as a side note, it also contains terrible humor and adult content. Welcome to our world, motherfuckers.
Hello, everybody out there in internet land. Welcome to the first episode of our new podcast series, Defend Avenge. I'm your host, James Michael Wagner, and rocking by my side, like always, is my co-host.
What up, bitches?
You might want to say your name. For the
John Christopher Wagner.
Yes. And I know I said this before, but we're not off to a good start lately. Now, this is a very interesting series. You've probably kind of guessed already what the premise of Defend Avenge is about. But let me lay it out for you, fellow listeners. Defend Avenge is a series where each episode will tackle something. It can be anything, like a movie, video game, book, album, any kind of entertainment thing.
Media.
And what?
Media.
Medium. Yeah, any kind of medium, any kind of media. Well, is it medium or media?
It's media. Anything in media. Like
anything in media and entertainment. And the rule is that it has to be something that can either be just universally panned, like most people think it's atrocious, or something that's not that bad, but
like average, or has got the mixed reviews.
Yeah, like weak, disappointing, just kind of like mediocre. And the second rule has to be something we like, though, which brings me full circle back to Defend Avenge, where we're going to try and defend it, or in the words of Tony Stark when he faces Loki in the Avengers movie, when he told him that if we can't defend or protect the Earth, we're going to avenge it. So if we can't defend these items, we're going to avenge them. And this is not devil's advocate, people. We honestly do like these things. So this isn't like we're pretending. It's shit just got real.
Yeah, and it's important we like them, because if we didn't like the thing, why would we defend and or avenge it?
Well, it would just be for like humor.
Yeah.
But we're serious.
Okay. As a side note, I want to talk about the title itself. The title Defend Avenge comes from a song title off the Anthrax album For All Kings, which I highly recommend that you check out, because Anthrax is good old-fashioned thrash or speed metal. So,
at least during the Jolie Belladonna years.
Yeah. So that's where the title comes from, because there's a song off that album. Remember, the album is For All Kings by Anthrax, and they have a song on it called Defend Avenge. That's where this podcast title comes from. Okay. First, I just want to lay some foundation for what we're going to do here. For today's episode, we are going to be talking about a little video game called Kane Lynch Dead Men, which came out in 2007, and its sequel, Kane Lynch Dog Days, which came out in 2010.
I think the official title is Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days.
Okay. I think you're probably right. So, because since they're similar, we're just going to combine them into one review, because we feel we don't need two separate videos.
Yes, there's like similar complaints for both of them.
And then first, I just want to lay out some ground information about the games.
Background information.
For both games, I was player 1 and James was player 2. I played Lynch, he played Kane.
Yes, I was his bitch.
Yeah, we did it for we played the same player. We played the same player 1 and player 2, and the same characters for both games for consistency reasons, because that's what we usually do.
Yep.
For franchises or games and their sequels. For both games we played on easy because we're pussies. And they're hard enough as they are. So,
hard as fuck.
We don't need to make them unnecessarily more difficult. And we played them on the PS3. And the Dog Days, I know we played on 4K TV.
For you nerds out there who are into technology.
4K Ultra HD TV with HDR capabilities. The game only goes up to 720p, so it was a 720p, and then no HDR, of course. And then for Kane Lynch Dead Men, I think we played on an older TV we had, which was only up to 480p, and then I think we might have finished it on a plasma, which we got, which was a 1080p TV, and then we obviously played that 720p.
Our memories are shoddy on that.
Yeah, we played Dead Men a long time ago. Dog Days was more recent, so we're going to be more shaky on the details with Dead Men. And so I think both of them, because both games only go up to 720p for resolution, and I think we did play, the second one we did play on 720p, and the first one we may have played some of it on 720p. I really don't remember. So we're going to start off in order, so we're going to start off with Kane Lynch Dead Men.
Also, I want to add is we're not going to really talk about specifics from the plots.
Yeah,
of the story mode.
We don't really remember much from the plots to begin with. Especially the first one.
And we feel that if we do spoil stuff, it's like ripping your balls off.
We don't like spoilers.
No.
So
even if it's 1 year, 100 years from now after it came out.
We don't care how old something is. We'll try to stay away from spoilers for plot and story or like character things because we don't like when that's so spoiled to us. So we're going to do you a favor, not do it to you.
And we've only played the story or campaign mode.
Yes.
Not the arcade mode or multiplayer.
Yes. In Dead Men, we only played campaign. The campaign mode, we did not play multiplayer. And for Dog Days, same thing. Only campaign mode. We did not play multiplayer. And we also did not play arcade mode. So we will not be talking about those either.
And it's probably good anyway because those servers are long gone by now, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's no way you could play online multiplayer anymore with either of these games.
Okay, I think that's it for background information.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, then let's jump right into the first Kane Lynch game in the series, Kane Lynch Dead Men.
Okay, so with Kane Lynch Dead Men, one of the complaints was that with Lynch's mental stability, because he's supposed to be like a sociopath or psychopath or whatever, that it was made to be such a big deal, but it was never really used a whole lot or expanded upon in the game. And from what I remember, I think that was true.
It was kind of like a gimmick, really.
Yeah, it was like a gimmick, and they made the characters in the game make a big deal about it, but it's never really used to its full potential, and I think that was true, which sucks, but that doesn't ruin the game.
No, it doesn't make it unplayable or anything.
Another complaint was it had the auto sticky cover system, which the way it
barely remember this.
Which people said was complex and caused problems, and I'm sure it caused problems for us and fucked us up a lot. I'm sure that happened because we usually have problems with stuff like this because we're not the greatest gamers in the universe. So the way it worked is you're supposed to move up to an object and you use, I think, the left joystick on the controller to use it for cover, like to press up against it. You had to be at the right angle and everything. It was really complicated, and I kind of remember that.
I just remember we were able to pull through.
And
I don't remember doing that shit.
It was supposed to be so complicated that you usually didn't use it because it always fucked you up, and you ended up doing things you didn't want to do and it would get you killed. And
once again, I didn't think it was much of a problem.
Obviously, from what I remember, I'm sure it had problems for us, but we probably figured out and got used to it. Mm-hmm. So that wasn't a deal breaker. Another thing about it, another complaint was that it started out as a crime drama, but then it ended up going into like a war type of thing towards the end of the game. Like it got like the situations got more unrealistic and more epic, and it became more like a war zone, which I think is true.
Yes.
But once again, it started out as one thing and kind of morphed into another thing, which I guess because it kind of gives you impression it's going to be more of a crime type, smaller scale thing, and then it goes into this more big epic battle, shit-tastic mess. But For I remember, I was fine with that.
Yeah, it didn't.
You know, I mean, even though it may have changed the scope of the game, I still thought it was fun.
It didn't fuck me in the ass.
No. Also, another thing is that it had variety, like it would split you up where you're two, because usually for the whole game, both Kane and Lynch are together, you're fighting, and you're pounding your way and shooting the shit out of enemies together, but then there are a few instances in the game where you're split up in two different areas where you can't do stuff with each other, so you're on your own, which makes it a little more, adds more tension, makes it a little more difficult, because you're not there to back each other up. And I remember there was one thing with a vault and a bank, I think. There was a heist, one of the levels in the game where you were separated for a few minutes.
Yeah, I think I sat in the vault.
Yeah, and I think I had to go around and do some shit. And that was cool. We liked that because it was a little different.
Did people actually complain about that? That you got split up?
No, I don't think so. I'm just talking about
that would be retarded because that was cool.
I don't remember that being a complaint. I'm just talking about that was one of the things in the game that we liked, was it had a little bit of variety to it and made things a little more difficult.
Yeah, because I think
tension.
People are just going to nitpick every little damn thing.
Also, it had friendlies in it. You worked with other computer opponents like AI bots.
I remember
and you worked as a team to do like heists and things like that, which was cool. And which was weird, and when they would go down, they get injured, you would have to give them a shot of adrenaline in the heart. You know, if you remember, you do it in a stabbing motion with an OD bitch.
You know where that comes from?
Yeah, can you tell me, people out there in internet land?
Let's play the Jeopardy theme song.
Do 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 do.
You know that? Okay, we got to speed this up because we can't take eternity. That's from the Quentin Tarantino film Pulp Fiction.
Yep. So that's how you would revive them. So that was really cool because you worked with other people. And another thing in Dead Men with your friendlies or
butt buddies.
People you worked with your friends like butt buddies or
accountability buddies.
Accountability buddies was that you had to give them orders for them to, tell them to flank the enemy or whatever. And I think the AI said it was okay, but there was problems with it because sometimes they'd run around in circles and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't think it was a huge problem, but I think it didn't work perfectly. It was a little problem, but it wasn't bad.
When you had to give them orders, they'd spaz out and not follow them and run around in circles and stuff.
It got frustrating,
which I kind of remember.
It didn't ruin the game, though.
And then also, ammo apparently was scarce in the game. Like, enemies wouldn't drop them any ammos or guns. So you would actually trade with your friendlies. You trade ammo and guns with them, which I kind of remember. So if one of them was running low, you could give them an ammo or a gun, and vice versa, which was kind of neat. You know, because it made you act more as a team, interact with each other. And also there was 2 endings to the game, which was cool. And we did play both endings. When we got to in the last level, we did the first ending, and then we replayed it again to do the second ending.
Yeah, that was kind of neat because there was a choice.
Yeah, so that was cool because there's some point in the game where you can choose to do one thing or another thing, and depending on your choice, you got a different ending.
Yeah,
do both.
Like we said, we're not going to ruin it, but we'll just give you the general idea.
So overall, from reviews on the internet, was that people thought it was bad to okay. And it's an average shooter. It's a fun game worth checking out, and we highly recommend that you play it with another human being because there is no online co-op. There's only local. So, because the multiplayer is not the campaign mode, it's like other stuff. It's like multiplayer maps and like has nothing to do with the story. So the only way you can play the story with in multiplayer is to have 2 people actually local in the same room doing it together. And that's how we recommend playing it. So it's worth checking out because you can get it really cheap now because it's old. So if you have a PS3 or an Xbox 360 or whatever, check out Kane Lynch.
Yeah, for a couple bucks you can't go wrong.
As an average shooter, it doesn't revolutionize anything. Sound was okay.
Graphics were okay, but now they're dated.
Yeah, I mean the graphics. Kane Lynch never was a powerhouse in the graphics department by any means.
No, I don't think so.
The graphics are okay for what they are, and it's an interesting story, even though it does kind of get confusing and muddle a little bit. but usually me and James have a hard time understanding video game stories anyway, because due to the nature of the medium, the stories usually aren't explained that well anyway.
We're very lenient and tolerant of stuff.
So it's all about the gameplay, and like I said, the gameplay is simplistic, and it may have the cover system may be a little wonky or whatever, but it's still a fun game worth checking out. And also, aiming is a little difficult, I think, to aim enemies. I think the enemies can aim better than you can, and I think they can take more damage than you, which makes some parts frustrating because it feels unfair at times.
And the voice acting is really good.
Yeah.
That's usually regarded as a highlight.
Again, most games, though, have parts that we feel are too difficult, so that's not a deal breaker. And as for voice acting, we like the voice acting, though the thing, since it's an M-rated game, they put a lot of cursing in, which is fine, but it gets annoying at times.
Well, because of the characters, the way they are, it's realistic.
Yeah, it's realistic, but you'll be hearing words such as fuck, shit, damn, hell, and various other vulgarities consistently.
Inversions of vulgarity.
Yes, consistently in every other line of dialogue. And it does get on your nerves, don't get me wrong. But it fits with the characters. And then also people said the characters weren't likable. And I guess that's true.
Yes,
I mean, they're
and some of
villains, they're criminals.
And some of these complaints will be addressed in the sequel.
Yes. But they're criminals anyway, but we feel they're interesting enough and the story's interesting enough, even if it is confusing, to keep you going till the end. So we recommend worth checking it out. Not as bad as what some people say it is.
No, I thought it was a decent game.
Yeah, I'd say it's a decent game, and again, if you can get a used copy for $20 or less or whatever, we definitely recommend it.
Okay,
so now we're going to move on to Kane Lynch Dog Days.
Okay, we've said the final word on the first one. So let's segue into the second one, where shit's going to get even more fucked up.
Damn right.
One of the complaints of Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days, and I'm assuming this was the first one too, was it was on rails, like Time Crisis. Now, that's kind of an exaggeration because I think Time Crisis was like on the rails where you move. The computer moved you around and you just shot it in first person.
The first game was like that too, because it's supposed to give, both games are supposed to give you a movie cinematic feeling.
So you're third person, but you can control your character.
So
it's just not there. The problem is that it's not open ended.
No,
there's more linear. It's not really on the rails.
No, in order to achieve the cinematic movie feeling, the game has to be more streamlined and straightforward, which means no exploring and really no collectibles. You can't stray away from the plot because then it doesn't feel like a movie then. So some people like that, some people don't. We're okay with that.
We're fine with that. It doesn't bother me that much.
So, and then believe it or not, but Dog Days is actually more streamlined than the first one. Because in Dog Days, you have no friendlies. It's just Kane and Lynch together. So with friendlies is that there's nobody to trade ammo or guns with. You can't even do it with each other, and there's nobody to give adrenaline shots in the heart, and there's nobody to give orders to. So because of those things, Dog Days is actually more streamlined, straightforward than the first one, if that's even possible.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I think he's right. The next complaint was, I know what he was just talking about.
Also, there's also less variety too, because the first game had some stealth missions. You had heists you had to pull off with your friendlies, and you gave them orders and stuff. And since there are no friendlies in this game, there's also no bank heists. There's no stealth type of missions, so there's less variety. It's just more run and gun and kill everybody you can in your path, and cause as much carnage and mayhem as possible.
Okay, we've pretty much have totally obliterated my first point on the rails because this has nothing to do with that, so let's continue. The second complaint with this game was it was like a movie and it had lots of shootouts. Apparently some people don't like the playable movie experience and the repetitive nature of shootouts. That's because I have no problem with that. I'm fine with that.
And it is like the first game, even though the first game had a little more variety, it was still very, very repetitive. And again, that's okay if you play the game in short bursts. If you play in short bursts or you play a level or two at a time, it's fine. But if you're gonna go for like what's that term that's used, like binge playing, like binge watching, you'd probably get bored very quickly.
Yes, in short bursts, it's fine.
Yes.
And another person's complaint, and of course we're not revealing identity of any of these people. So the next complaint was somebody said that they didn't like it because it had unrealistic situations. It's a fucking video game. Also, I don't really care about that. So what? It has unrealistic situations.
Also, with Kane Lynch 2 Dead Men is that there's more ammo and guns. Your enemies drop more ammo and guns, which I think is true. That's what's so you don't run out of as much ammo as the first game. That's why in the first game you had to trade ammo and guns with each other in the friendlies because ammo was more limited. In this game, you can collect more ammo and guns, so there's no trading, but that's because your enemies drop more ammo and everything, so you can just get it, and I think that's true, so it's a little easier from that standpoint, where it's not so scarce.
Another complaint was tedious level design. The whole game takes place, I think it's in Shanghai?
Yes, it's Shanghai.
Shanghai, China. I think the first game did have more variety in level design, but if your game takes place in a city, of course it's going to have similar levels or areas.
Yes.
They all do have little differences, but no, it's mostly urban, which, once again, I don't have a complaint with because that's probably what it would be like.
Also, the aiming, I think, was improved in Dog Days from the first one, though it's still not as good as, other more like sophisticated or advanced third-person shooters, and I think that's why I think the aiming was a little better, and they improved that. And
they improved the cover system too.
Yes, the cover system was improved instead of that auto sticky thing from the first one.
It's more like Gears of War.
Yes, where you would push a button to go into cover and a button to get out of it.
I think it might be a little better, but I thought the first one was okay if I remember right.
Yeah, once you figured it out, you got used to it. But here it was a little simpler to do, and I think that was better, even though it may not have been as good as some other games.
Okay, another complaint of Kane Lynch 2 was somebody said it took, on average, like 5 hours to complete. So, in other words, it was too short. It felt incomplete and flawed. And the thing with that is we subscribe to the philosophy that if a game is short, if it's still good but it's short, then we're fine with it. Because we don't mind how long a game is, as long as it's still fun, it still works. That's what's really the most important thing. In fact, games got so long that it becomes a little tedious and tiresome, especially when they're open-ended, because then you can spend a whole generation playing one game.
Yeah.
For video game console generation.
Also, I think there are less times where you're separated than the first game, so there's less variety from that standpoint. As I remember, there was one part in the game where I, as Lynch, went up to the top floor of a room, and Jimmy or James, who was Kane, was on the bottom, but we were in the same room, and there were staircases, so we could get to each of the bottom and the top. So it really makes sense as to why we were separated, because we were in the same room and we could get to each other's location, but it was counted as being separated just because I went on the top, took the top route, Jimmy took the bottom route. So it didn't make it. It was dumb from that standpoint. And there, I think maybe were some other moments where we actually truly were separated, but I think there were less of those. We were mostly together.
Okay.
But I remember.
Another complaint is similar to the first game, where somebody said that there wasn't any emotional connection because the characters are unlikable. Like Kane is a greedy killer and Lynch is a psychopath. Well, they're bad guys, so you knew what you were getting into when you play a game where you play the bad guys.
Apparently Lynch is on medication in Dog Days, and it seems to be working, so he really isn't playing different from Kane. He seems to be kind of the same, which is true. They're really interchangeable. They really don't play any different from each other, so it really doesn't matter who's who. Also, the enemies, I think, are too strong. They take way more damage than you can. And
Yes.
Their aiming is a lot better too. This is one thing that's really annoying, is that there were parts of the game where the enemy will be like 10 miles away and they'll be able to snipe you perfectly, and it'll take you like 3 clips just to shoot in the frickin' foot. And
that was somebody else's complaint.
Yes, and I agree with that. In the first game, it was like that too, and in fact, a lot of shooters are like that.
But we agree with that. That's actually true.
Yes, that there are parts that were unnecessarily
difficult. They almost
difficult.
feel like they can shoot you around any corner from any angle from solid objects.
Because I would a lot of times walk out of a door frame and just start getting powdered with bullets.
And I have no idea where the fuck it's coming from.
I have no idea where the hell they're coming from, and I can't see anything. I can't kill anybody who's shooting me, and I just keep getting hit by these goddamn bullets. I have no idea where they're coming from. They're like it's like that Wanted, where they can like bend bullets as they shoot them.
It's like a motherfucking shitstorm.
Yeah, it was terrible at times, but that's like and then I think the environments were destructible too, weren't they? Like if people took cover, you could destroy the cover.
I think some cover was like that,
which was cool.
Not all of it. Some of it was
because you had to change cover. Then you just couldn't hunker down in one place forever
and wait it out while your buddy did all the nigger work.
Yeah. And then also I've heard the sound is better in the game, as in like the sound effects that the guns have more of the guns have more of a punch to them, and I think that's true. The sound is really good. There's not a whole lot of music, but the sound effects are good. The guns sound good. They have a lot of punch to them. When people, get shot, you can feel it if you have a good surround sound system, which we have a 5.1 surround sound system, so that's how we play our games. And with that, it sounds really good. The graphics are okay too. They're not like again, they're not super fantastic. But
we like the grainy art house feeling with the shaky cam.
Yeah, and the shaky cam.
I think you can disable it.
You can disable it. You can turn on or off in the menu screen. We kept it on because it didn't bother us.
We don't get motion sickness. But if you do, and you're going to hurl everywhere. Yeah. Then turn it off.
And it leads to the visual style of the game. Also, the voice acting is good, just like the first one. Even though there's a lot of swearing, which gets annoying, just like the first one. But again, it fits the characters. But as for the visual style, it tried to be a little different, because I don't know of any other video game that tried to go for this look. But what it did was it tried to give like an internet documentary type feeling, or something where somebody recorded the game on a handheld video camera.
Well, it was kind of like an artsy, like art house.
Yes. And because of that, you get visual artifacts or compression artifacts, and there are lens flares and light smears, so things kind of look like grainy and not as good as they could have been if you're using a professional camera, which makes the game look kind of
grittier.
Gives it a low-fi quality to it, which then makes it look worse, but it gives it a more distinct type of feeling to it, like somebody's recording on their cell phone. And it also has these like mosaic things where, for especially gory injuries, it will block stuff out. It'll block out nudity. Private parts also block out people when they get shot, and it's really gory. For example, if you take a shotgun and you decide to blow someone's fucking head off, a little like mosaic blurry thing will appear over their head, so you can't see their messed up head. So, which is cool because it gives it something like you'd see on TV, like Cops or something, where they fuzz people's faces out.
In other words, the game censors itself.
Yes, which is both good and bad, because it gives it a more unique feeling, because I don't know of any other video game that did that.
But if you want to see all the gore, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword.
Okay, this complaint, it does concern the story mode or campaign mode, but it's also about multiplayer, so I threw it in anyway. And one person's complaint with the second Kane Lynch game is that the multiplayer did include any new developments or references to the game's plot, and doesn't have the title characters in it. We did, like we said, we didn't play multiplayer, but for Kane Lynch 2, we did watch the videos that explain our multiplayer mode. Yeah, we watched the instructional videos. And the thing is that it's multiplayer, and if you don't play the main characters, that's not a big deal to us. And if it doesn't have anything to do with the plot, that's fine, because it's multiplayer. It usually doesn't. Yeah. So we don't have a complaint with that.
Arcade mode is just something where you do like a bank heist, and you just repeat. It's like a 4-minute bank heist, or where you steal money or something with some.
Well, we're not going to go into all the specifics.
Or some shit with like computer-controlled people.
And one person can betray other people.
And then
there's one with cops.
And then you just keep doing the same map over and over again until it gets so difficult that you just can't do it anymore.
Okay. Another complaint was little variety in weapons and tactics.
I think that's true. Also, I heard that the weapons don't feel that much different from one another, which I think is true.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's just a minor complaint.
Because with tactics is you take duck and cover, shoot, rinse and repeat. There's not much to it, but it's simple.
Yes.
But for us, it's okay.
And there's also blind fire too. You can shoot without aiming over obstacles, or shoot from the hip without aiming, which is fine too. So it's a little more variety. I don't remember if in the original Kane Lynch game there was shooting from the hip or blind fire. I don't remember. Also, in the second game, when you get injured and you get knocked down, you can still fire. Because in the first game, I think when you got knocked down, you couldn't shoot anybody. You had to wait for either Kane Lynch to come and give you an adrenaline shot to the heart in a stabbing motion. In this game, when you get knocked down from sustaining too much damage, you can still fire to protect yourself, and you can actually still control yourself. Because in the first game, you couldn't. You were there until you died or got revived. Here, you can crawl to cover, and your opponent, I don't think, has to revive. Your friend doesn't have to revive you. You just crawl to cover, and then after you stop getting shot by bullets enough, then you can just get back up on your feet, and your energy recharge, your health recharges itself.
Self-heal.
Well, in the first game, I think your partner actually had to revive you themselves. You couldn't. Your health didn't recharge itself, from what I remember. So in this game, it makes it a little easier because you don't need the other person to recharge your health.
Okay.
You do it yourself.
Another person said for this game is that there are a few standout set pieces. I thought they were okay.
Yeah, I like the helicopter one. It's like the second or third last mission, which was cool. It was short, but it was cool.
Don't get into too much specifics.
No, I would say that was a standout one.
Or the airport.
Yeah. Also, another thing I'd like to mention about both games is that there's no popping at all. That's when you go into a new area, buildings and stuff just appear. Here, I don't think there was any of that. And also another thing that's true of most games nowadays is there's no slowdown. Because if you remember from the N64 and PlayStation days, if you had smoke or too many people on the screen at the same time, everything would move down to 1 frame per second. But
remember Perfect Dark, people?
Oh god, it got
for the Nintendo 64.
When you would shoot a missile,
damn!
When you would shoot a fucking missile in that game, or too many people were on screen, you especially had smoke with explosions, everything would go down to 1 frame per second.
It was bullet time without the motherfucking bullet time.
It was horrible. But when we got the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, in my personal experience, all slowdown has stopped. And I can't...
Drop the fucking mic on that, bitches.
The last time I remember slowdown was the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox era. I think once we got to Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and the Wii, slowdown, I think, pretty much stopped.
Well, when we find the grave of... for slowdown, we'll give you directions so you can pay your respects to it.
So the slowdown thing is true of every game nowadays. That's basically gone, I think.
Okay. Another complaint. Let's move on. Let's move right on here. Another complaint for the game was the story was hard to follow and not that compelling.
Which is true.
It's a typical movie story.
Yeah.
A typical video game.
The story.
Movie story for video game.
The story, the first game, was confusing, but like I said before, we find most video game stories confusing.
It was fine. It was typical. It's what you would expect
from what we understand. It was fine.
And this one's interesting. Somebody said one of their complaints with the game was that Kane Lynch couldn't believe all the stuff in the game that was happening to them.
Yes.
When it kept happening to them and shouldn't have been a shock anymore. So in other words, every time something really fucked up happened, they were always saying how we can't believe this is happening to us.
They say that a lot.
From the first time to the 100th time.
I will tell you right now, dude, that shit gets annoying. And I will admit it's a minor complaint, but they say that way too many times. They can't believe this is happening to them as they're getting attacked. In almost every level, one of them says this or both of them say this, and it just gets obnoxious because, come on, retards. You're being attacked. It's going to happen. Stop saying that because it's obvious now this shit's going to happen to you, so shut the fuck up. So it did get obnoxious. So, and lastly, another thing about it was the Erupt ending. That
That's our complaint.
Yes, which is our complaint, and that was a complaint that somebody else did.
We're not going to ruin it, obviously.
No,
but it is
I've heard somebody. On the internet, I've heard somebody else say that too. That the ending is abrupt, or it's just like jarring or stilting or whatever.
And like the previous point, we think these are both legit.
Yes, and the ending, especially for a second game, because the first one I really don't remember. Both endings, I don't remember if they were up or jarring.
It doesn't seem like it was as bad as the ending for the second one.
I don't think they were as bad as the second one, but the second one is we played it and we're like, this is the ending? What the fuck? So that's one complaint that we feel is legitimate, is the ending could have been better.
And then
it could have had more of a conclusion.
And then another complaint was the dialogue in the game didn't say much, and of course there's lots of swearing and insults.
In both games, the dialogue a lot of time consists of curse words and insults, which again fits the characters, but it gets old though fast.
They do say some stuff of value.
Yes,
it's not all
that
pointless,
is true.
But a lot of it is fluff.
It's not total mindless
throwaway stuff.
Yeah, it's not total mindless dribble.
There is a little bit of truth to that, but it does move the story along a little bit.
Yes, and both, again, they move fast because they're supposed to be like a movie, so they cannot stray away from the plot. There's no time. They have to keep going. They have to keep pounding through the plot line.
And then we got one more complaint for Kane Lynch too, which I think is my favorite.
Oh yeah,
this one's motherfucking gold right here.
Yeah,
the big shit turd of gold. So the complaint with this is really not a person per se, but more like a group of people. And in fact, we'll just say the whole city of Beijing. Because Beijing's a city in China, I believe.
That's where the Olympics were held.
Yes.
A few years ago.
So we're going to take it down a notch here. Apparently, the producers were sued at a court in Beijing for vilifying the Chinese people. So I'm going to run through some facts here, and then we'll maybe get a little philosophical here with this. But anyway, it said that the court also accused them of depicting the Chinese people as cowardly and timid, and the player's objective was to kill them. And it says that the video game distorted the facts of like the Chinese people, misled players about Chinese cultural values. And they're the producers of the video games. I guess there were two companies that were being sued, one in Denmark, one in Japan. And it said they were suing them because they violated the Chinese people's rights.
Okay.
Okay. Another interesting fact of the case is the prosecuting lawyer wanted to get 10,000 yuan.
I have no idea how you would see what the Chinese currency is.
YUAN. So 10,000 of their currency.
Yeah.
Which in American dollars is $1,585.36 in compensation from the companies.
My first
hold on, let me finish this here. I got one more point about this. Is that in this article, which is from a couple years ago, 2012, so this could have changed by now. They might have made progress, but per the article, it said that the court hasn't decided yet if it will hear the case or not. So as of this article, it hasn't made it to the...
It's pending.
It's pending. It hasn't made it to the courtroom yet. But since, like I said, that was a couple years ago...
Yeah, so we don't know.
I don't know, and I couldn't find any more information if something happened. So now we'll just basically have our way with this like a super fine honey.
Yeah. Basically, my first issue with this whole lawsuit is it's a motherfucking video game. Get over yourselves. I mean, there is worse crap out in this world to worry about than a stupid video game you say is like a racist or whatever, depicting the entire group of people
ask you
as
this.
being bad or cowards or whatever.
When you were playing Kane Lynch 2, during any point in the game, did you ever think all Chinese people are cowardly or evil and must be killed?
No.
Did you ever have any thought that the whole group of Chinese people were like that? Even for an instant, anywhere?
No.
No. Okay.
It's a video game. It is fake. No. I want to go on the record officially stating that Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days did not in any way lower my opinion of China or the Chinese people.
Yes, we do not think of the Chi-Coms any worse because of Kane Lynch 2 than we before the Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days because of the game. Our opinion of them is the same before as it is after.
It's just another frivolous lawsuit where corrupt attorneys and dumbass people just want to make money, easy money.
And this is why the justice system is sucks and is polluted with stupid cases that have no business being cases. So my point is, the point with this is that they need.
And you can thank liberals for all the frivolous lawsuits and making it easy to sue people and encouraging them.
Yes. So anyway though, with the video game companies is they're suing the producers, but the video game, the people who developed the video game or made the video game, they're giving their opinion now. Do we think these people actually think the Chinese people are like this who made the video game?
I would say probably not.
No, I don't think that's what they were trying to do. And let's say just hypothetically, like let's just say for shits and giggles that they were trying to make them look bad. It's just propaganda. It's a video game. It's not hurting anybody. It's no different than reading a movie or a book. And if you're stupid enough to believe
you're a dumbass,
Kane Lynch 2 when you're playing the game,
you're fucked hard.
When you're playing the game, yes, you're fucked hard if you actually get that from the game. And there's no business why you should even be alive.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're impersonating a human.
Yeah. So in short, Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days has decent graphics. It's a cool visual style with the shaky cam in the grainy video and like the things in the censorship covering up, people nudity and people getting their fucking heads blown off and whatever. So that's cool and bad at the same time. Well, the censorship at least, and it has good voice acting, good sound. Another complaint was with it that I just remembered, and I think this goes to the first game too, is not only do the weapons feel the same when you use them, but there's not a lot of them. The weapon variety is small, which I agree with. I think there's not much to choose from in terms of your arsenal and armory, which is okay. It's not a big deal. So, and they all kind of feel the same too, which is not a big deal either. But anyway, good graphics, interesting visual style that no other game I know of feels like an internet video or a documentary or something shot on a camcorder or a cell phone. It has good voice acting, good sound. Ending could have been more conclusive, had more of a conclusion, not so abrupt or jarring or stilted or whatever. And the firing mechanics, gameplay mechanics like cover system and aiming have been improved, I think. And once you get used to it, it's fine, it's fun, but that's because shooting guns in video games usually is fun unless the controls are completely messed up beyond all recognition. So you can't really fuck that up unless you really fuck it up really bad.
Yes, unless they're totally broken. Yeah.
So if you like the first game, it's definitely worth checking out the second one. Again, it's older, so you can get a used one for like under $20. I'm sure of it.
And we don't know the third one coming out. No, we haven't heard anything.
And again,
doesn't look like
I don't think the second one, I think if you want to play campaign mode with another human being, I think it can only be done locally. I do not think you can do it over the internet, just like the first game. Multiplayer for Dog Days has nothing to do with over the internet. Has nothing to do with campaign mode, so you're going to need to get somebody and time down in your room and time to the couch or whatever and play it with them, which we both highly recommend doing, because usually the person you have will always be smarter than the AI in the game.
Hopefully.
Unless
you're playing with Beijing ports.
Especially the first one. I think in the second game, the AI was improved because the enemies will actually try to outflank you and do better maneuvers and stuff. So I think the AI was improved in Dog Days. But anyway, you can never beat playing with a real human being. And if you can get that person to be a super hot chick, then we highly recommend doing it, but you probably won't be able to.
No, you'll probably end up doing some other kind of activity.
And then would also recommend, if you do get a super fine honey to play the game with you, you should both be naked as well.
Okay, so we're going to leave you on one final note. It boils down to this. the people who, it's either that the people who complained about these games are just too harsh, they're picky, they got to stick up their ass, whatever, or we're just easily amused imbeciles.
Yes.
It's one of those. So take your pick.
Yeah, when it comes to media, and this is music, video games, music, a lot of different things, books, stories, manga, anime, whatever, we're pretty lenient with stuff. In order for us to not like it, you really have to fuck up big time.
Yeah, epic fuck up time.
So they're average. So both Kane Lynch Dead Men and Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days are both average shooters. They don't revolutionize anything. There are other shooters out there, third-person shooters or first-person shooters or whatever, that do things better with aiming and cover systems or whatnot, or graphics or story. But these two games are still fun and they're worth checking out. And just because they're not the best or better than a lot of other games doesn't mean they're bad. But I would not pay full price for them, like $60 when they were both new. But nowadays you can get them for $20 or under. So I would definitely recommend checking both of them out and playing them with a buddy, especially a super hot chick naked.
So in conclusion, bastards and bitches out there in internet land, if you like this video, please like it on the YouTube page it's on. Leave a comment in the comment section below the video, and subscribe to our channel.
And for whether you want to play these games on a PS3 or an Xbox 360 or the PC, I think all versions are pretty similar. So you can't go wrong. There's really no wrong choice with any platform that you choose to play them on.
So this is James Michael Wagner and
John Christopher Wagner
signing out.
And don't forget to leave comments in the comments section, bitches.
Yes, I just mentioned that. Okay, it doesn't hurt to reiterate.
Nope.
So keep on shining and forge on.
Forge on.